Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah. Alhamdulillah bil alameen. Wa salli wa sallim ala man bu'itha rahmatan lil alameen. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thanks for joining me. If you're joining me, when you're joining me, of course, we just went live, so just wait for a few people to come in. And the point of this live stream basically is for me to just answer any questions you have about the campaign that just went live 10 minutes ago. Alhamdulillah, already got some good support there. So in the description of this video, you'll find the link. And also, I'll just put it here in the chat for you. So find out all about the campaign. Yeah. So that's the link. Good, it's clickable. Shamaki, Maji, because your name is G. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. I think I know who you are, but there are many Shamakis, of course. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah, insight. Yeah, so basically the idea behind the book is that there are many angles behind it, actually, alhamdulillah. It's quite interesting. So the first angle is the one that I outlined. You're the one, bro. You're the one. It's the reason I outlined in the video I put out a few days ago about why did I look into masculinity in Islam. So there's many reasons, of course. First is like just I'm into personal development. So it's like how could men specifically be the best in their area, right? What their role is, how can they be the best? How can they develop? The other reason perhaps, or the angle, is that, you know what, like, I've got to agree sometimes with feminists that there are certain traits creeping into the average man which are very negative. And so why is that? And so how can we learn what is authentically masculine and part of the Islamic tradition and the Sunnah, and therefore teach Muslim men how to become good men? So basically, feminists have nothing to criticize. The other angle was, you know, feminists and people in general, all this like men are trash stuff and all the attacks and the attack on the family unit, the attack on gender roles, this kind of attack. This is also to kind of counter that. So it's like, okay, I disagree that there's no such thing as gender roles, or I disagree with, you know, a lot of what feminists say, not everything, but a lot of what they say. Well, therefore, we should be able to prove that that's wrong, okay, according to our principles and our sources, which is, of course, you know, Quran, Sunnah, and what our scholars said, right? So those are kind of the main angles here. And the other interesting angle is that I realized, like, look, I'm not a scholar, okay? I'm not a scholar of Islam. I'm not a scholar of, you know, sociology or masculinity or gender or anything like that. But what I can do, surely, you know, I can't write a fiqh book right now. You know, it'll take me many years of study to get to that level, let's say. But if I put my focus and attention on a narrow topic for 1, 2, 3 years, surely then I could write a book on it and I could have good knowledge on that area, just that area, right? I'm not going to claim anything beyond that area, but just that area, surely I could learn what there is to know about it. And so that's the idea behind this book as well, that, yeah, I'm not a scholar of fiqh, I'm not a sociologist, I don't have a PhD, but with enough time, focus, effort, attention, surely I can learn enough to write a book and to help people. That's the basic idea here. Yeah, Ahmed Khan, yes, I'm live now. I'm speaking to you now. Okay, so Yasmin says, Walaikum salam, 237 million productions. Walaikum salam to Allah. Nice t-shirt, Jazakallah khairan. Yeah, Ahmed Khan, so there will be a recap, but basically, if you click on the link, by the way, in the description, or here I've put find out all about the campaign. There's a link there to find out about the campaign. But basically, the idea is that we need to understand our role, right? Men and women need to understand our role in the world. What does it mean to be a man? The reason why the campaign, if you go to the page, is all linked back to the family is because I really, really believe the family unit is being broken down, and that is going to destroy not just the ummah, but the world at large. Like, all societies cannot function without functional families. And one of the ways that people have been eroding the family unit is by eroding gender roles and eroding certain ideas of how the family should be. So this is an attempt, you know, a humble attempt by myself to kind of counter that by telling Muslim men, this is how you should be. You're a man. You're not a woman. You're a man. You're not a boy. You should be like this, according to the guidance that we can take from Islam, right? There is other actual guidance you could take from biology, you know, from history, right? But mostly it's focusing on, first and foremost, what does the Prophet ﷺ tell us? What does he teach us about being a man? And you know, you'll be you know, surprised perhaps, because I'm mentioning feminists a lot and this kind of thing and the breakdown of family. You might be surprised that I came into this trying to be very open-minded, and while I was surprised, you know, there are certain things which I found, many things I found which are traditional, you could say, follow traditional values, traditional, what you find in traditional cultures, but there are also things that maybe go against some of the norms in some traditional cultures that, you know, me and you come from. So I thought that was really interesting. And as usual, what we find in Islam is really just balance, right? And that's why in the video that I premiered just a few minutes ago, and it's on the page as well, the campaign page, that's why there I said, what is being presented to men today in 2020 is too extreme and, you know, damaging models of being a man. The first is, you know, big ego, control women, disrespect women, use women, no, not in touch with emotions. Even though you have loads of emotions, you have anger, you have no control over it. You know, be cool, ego, all of that. That's one extreme, the kind of Hollywood playboy maybe kind of thing. On the other extreme, you have the, you know, the white knight, the guy, he's like a feminist, he's a kind of a pushover, he has no assertiveness to him, he's not bold, he's not, doesn't take leadership. And when I say leadership, I mean leadership with himself, with his family, this kind of thing, responsibility, right? So you have these two extremes, and neither are good. Neither are good for societies in general, and especially not for the ummah. And it's not the model of masculinity for the ummah. Okay, so that's the general idea, Ahmed, and everyone, you know, everyone listening. I hope that kind of helps you understand, you know, why I'm here, why I'm doing this. So Muhsin says, Salam, I say, wa alaikum salam. I'm a sociology student currently writing a study on pornography and masculinity. Okay, really interesting. So this is interesting. Yeah, it's honestly, I think, very important topic. You know, on the fundamental belief I have is that if the ummah is going to flourish, whether it's economically, whether it's you know, politically, whether it's in our closeness to Allah, we need strong families. We need strong families, and the family is under attack right now. So as much as we can, we need to defend the family. Part of that would be helping people with pornography, because no doubt the pornography is destroying marriages, which is destroying families. So there are attacks from all over the place. This is just one angle I've chosen to kind of go towards. Okay. Abdullah, Assalamu alaikum, Abdullah. I hope you're well. Thanks for joining me. So thanks, Ibrahim. Thanks for your good work. You know, maybe share a little bit more about what you're finding. Are you doing bachelor's, and, you know, what are you kind of finding in your studies? Emotional intelligence is important. Yeah, no doubt about that. And actually, Sheikh Mikhail Smith, he wrote a book, recently came out a few months ago, called With the Heart in Mind. And that is about the prophetic model for emotional intelligence and moral intelligence. And so that is honestly one of the only books that I find is in this same category that I would like to be in, inshallah, which is, it's helping Muslims develop themselves. It's accessible, it's engaging, it's not a translation. There's good storytelling in there, and it's coming from an Islamic perspective. You know, this is what I aspire to have, to create a book similar to, you know. So there really are not many books like this, and you also will not find many books that are actually being consumed, right? So that's why this book, I know that it needs to eventually become an audio book and maybe a podcast and maybe this and maybe that, because in the end, we need people to consume it, right? Maybe it can become a workshop. Maybe it can become a kind of workbook for people to use with youth circles. You know, this is the kind of way that we can use it, right? It's not just a book to sit on the shelf. The only other book I can think of which was very popular and it really helped people, I feel, develop themselves, and it was from an Islamic perspective, was La Tahzan, you know, don't be sad. And that was originally in Arabic, but it was translated into English, and it was very popular even in English because, you know, I think it was well translated and stuff. Ahmed Khan, I'm a man myself, alhamdulillah. Ahmed, yeah. I totally agree with you on big ego, playing cool, on the other hand, the weak one, yeah. And this is the thing, most men understand that it's a problem, right? They understand that I don't want to be either of these. And the framing and the framing being used is that if you're masculine, you have to be one of the two, right? You have to be the pushover feminist guy with no assertiveness, no authority, or you have to be the guy who has no responsibility, no control, big ego. And obviously the Prophet ﷺ was neither of these, and he was the best man. He was a real man, right? And interestingly, we have other models of masculinity among the Sahaba, right? That the Prophet ﷺ was, fine with, he didn't condemn that. And there's certain things that he did condemn, and we learn from all of this, So Shamaki, why do you think there are so few books on this topic out there? My first impression, the first thing that came into my head is that men don't like to develop themselves. And that's part of one of our weaknesses, which is men, well, we like to defend our ego. And in order to develop yourself, you must admit that you need to improve. And so I feel like it's not the most popular thing to go to a man and say, you need to get better, right? Unfortunately, that's just part of maybe some of our innate weaknesses that we need to be aware of and work on, right? And then there are some books. I've read plenty of books by non-Muslims about masculinity, how to be a man. And the crazy thing is that they're so confident writing about this topic with no guidance. Where are they getting it from? Where are they learning how a man should be from? Well, they're kind of observing, they're kind of following their desires. They're kind of, sometimes I agree, they're looking at biology, they're looking at cultures, civilizations of the past. And I'm cool with some of those sources, right? I think those are good sources. And I may be including some elements of that in my book. But I just wanted to start with the Quran and Sunnah as the kind of guideline, and then we can kind of build some details from there, But yeah, there are a few books on the topic. Some of them I think have been quite popular. Some of them are a load of rubbish. But why there's so few? It's just one of those niche topics, it's a niche topic. And so how do we make it attractive? Well, I think part of the way we make these kind of topics attractive is through media, through good communication, getting somebody who is good at communicating. They could speak, they could do videos, they could do live streams, they can, they could speak the language of 2020 basically, and make it seem cool, right? And I've seen many people who they've sold tens of thousands of books just by themselves online to people who maybe don't read at all. And they bought that book and maybe they read some of it, maybe they didn't, maybe they got the audio, but they actually did listen to that. And it's just, that's how it disseminates, I think. And that's how ideas can go out there and change things. What's the structure of the book going to be like? Yeah, so I struggled with this, inshallah. I struggle with this quite a bit. I was thinking about it a lot. So far, what I've gone with, okay, is we're going to have maybe a kind of a longer introduction, just understanding the struggles, Yani, that we're facing in terms of the family unit, in terms of gender roles. And then it goes into 3 sections. So the first section is basically how to be a man with yourself in the sphere of just you as an individual, as a person, right? And there are going to be certain topics there which are relevant to the individual and developing themselves. Then we move into the family, how you interact with your family, how you be in your family, with your wife, with your kids, and that kind of area. And then we finally have the third sphere, which is with how should a man be in the wider community and within the ummah. And that is a lot to do with da'wah. Allah said that we only sent men as messengers. Why is that, right? And why is the da'wah, why is the messengers, the prophets, why are they all men, right? There must be something innate there that we must stand up and do, right? That we must stand up and do. So there is the element of da'wah, of defending the Muslim lands, of defending the Muslim population. There is that element in the third section. And there's other elements in the third section like brotherhood. How do you interact with your brothers? So the third section is the community and the wider ummah element. So that's how I've split it so far. And so you build upon it, right? So first you must work on yourself, and then you must work on how you are with your family. You must have a strong family, and then have strong families create strong ummah or strong communities. And so that's how it works. So it's kind of a chronological way to work on yourself, inshallah. Yeah, Muhammad ad-Din says, could it be we're too comfortable to improve? I mean, this is what I think is a part of the problem with 9-to-5 jobs, feeling secure. The sad reality is that that does give you some element of being comfortable, some element of, I mean, you know, I've worked in the corporate world, not very long, but I've worked in the corporate world, and the idea there is be average. Yeah, don't be a muhsin, don't step out of line, don't be better than your manager. And I think that psychology is affecting Muslim men. Yeah, definitely. There's no competitiveness in who can be a muhsin in the workplace. It's just do what your manager says. That's subservience. And what I found in the Quran is when Allah says multiple times, I think 4 times in the Quran, وَجَاءَ وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ. Yeah, وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى. And came from the other side of the city, the other extreme of the city, a man striving or running. And he says a rajul, a man came. And what we find is that Allah mentions a rajul when someone is challenging the status quo. And so, and you also find in psychology that when it comes to the trait of agreeableness, okay, kind of agreeing to things, letting things slide, women have that much more than men. It's innate in men to be less agreeable. And so what Allah wants us to do with that trait is to stand up to wrongdoings and oppression. And that's one of the big jobs of men in society, is to not allow things to become complacent, not allow oppression to just be there and it's okay and it's accepted. Men need to stand up, and Allah gave us the kind of traits to do that, but we need to kind of learn that, yes, this is our trait, we accept it, we control it in a positive way to get closer to Allah and to, you know, make his word the highest kind of thing. Okay, so thanks for the question or the comment, Muhammad ad-Din. Ahmed says, how can I be the best man, or how can I be a man? I'm happy to improve, just don't know how to improve, inshallah. One day I'll find a great wife. Well, read the book, inshallah. You know, I really hope that the book is going to be perfect to answer those questions. Because you bring something up interesting, which is that there is being masculine. Okay, there is the idea of what is it to be masculine? What is it to be a man? And then there is the element of what is it to be a good Muslim? And some people might think that just being a good Muslim, that's fine, that's enough. But I would kind of argue a little bit against that and say that, well, understand what it means to be a man, have those masculine traits, because, for example, it's a big sin in Islam to imitate the opposite gender. So it's obvious that we should avoid that. Also, when it comes to the relationship with your wife, for example, you want to have polarity there. You don't want to be similar, right? Because opposites attract in a large way. And then when it comes to being a good Muslim, well, Allah gave certain things for men to do. So you can't ignore the fact that you're a man, right? You need to practice your religion in a way that is appropriate to your gender or your sex, right? So so yeah, that's what I would say about that. What is my current favorite book? In general, I mean, I always like I like, you know, 7 Habits. Yeah, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's always a good book. I like tafsir books. So I've got this book called, I think it's called Al-Quran, Tadabbur wa Amal, right? That's in Arabic. It's like a summary tafsir book. I think Tafsir Sa'di is being translated, or maybe it's been fully translated now into English. That's a good tafsir book. 4-hour work week, always enjoy that. So those are some. Yasmin, men are complicated. Most hide themselves. It's hard to find a great husband. You know, agreed. And inshallah, I will contribute to fixing some of the, you know, challenges there with the book. And yes, part of the one section of the book is about being emotional. You know, where can you show your emotions? How did the Prophet ﷺ show his emotions? How did the Sahaba, how did the prophets, other prophets, how did they share their emotions, and who did they share their emotions with? You know, that's quite important. And what kinds of emotions did they share? Okay, so this is an element, an important element. Ahmed Khan, Jazakallah khairan. You don't know really how knowledgeable I am, but inshallah I will be. Men are complicated. Yeah, typical comment. I guess men feel the same about women. I'm struggling to open up with my family. I don't have the right people around. Yeah, I mean, the truth is family is something that we don't choose, and Allah gives us those people to make the best of that situation. And yeah, and so we, instead of focusing on, you know, things we can't change, like who our family is, We should just focus on how can we be the best in that situation? How can we be the best to them while not making too much of a huge compromise? I'm struggling to open up. I mean, this is something I would say I struggle with as well. And it's just like sometimes with those things, because in your family it's not a norm for you to open up like that. It's something you maybe have to wait till you have your own family, that you make it a norm that you can be more open with each other. You know, that's what I think. Allahu Alam. Abdullah says, I think a lot of people also get passed down certain traits almost invisibly from their parents, and they may not realize it. Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. And that's why sometimes we have people who have very good model for what it means to be a man, and some people have a terrible model for what it means to be a man. And some people, they actually were not that influenced by their father in terms of how they should be a man, because they spent all their life in school and with friends. They weren't with their dad too much. And so they are more shaped by mainstream media, by their friends, and that can often be a bad thing as well. So the issue is that it's not, there is no model. Like you can't, there is no book out there or any material out there to say, look, here's how to be a man. Like, is there? Like, there isn't, right? So especially from an Islamic point of view. So that's why this book needs to be written. You know, I was saying to my business partner a few weeks ago, why am I writing this book? Because the book needs to be written. It needs to be put out there. Maybe there are more qualified people to do it than me, but they've not done it yet. So I must do it. The information needs to be put out there. Maybe when I write this book, someone will say, oh, it sucks. I'll write a better one. Well, great. That's how we get the ball rolling, right? I'm confident, alhamdulillah, that it's going to be good. It's going to be checked by scholars and stuff. So it should be good, of course. But the point is that it needs to be put out there. And so that's what I'm doing, inshallah. Bidna Rahman. Wow, we have a lot of questions. Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khairan for all the questions and the comments. Yes, so Lala says, do you think the reason that Muslim women aren't allowed to marry non-Muslim men, but men are allowed to marry non-Muslim women of the book, has a lot to do with the masculine traits of men? Yeah, interesting. So of course, in the family unit, not just in Islam, but traditionally throughout thousands of years across all different cultures, the man has been the leader of the family. The man has been the authority in the family. And that's across cultures, across times. There are some exceptions, of course, like everything, but that's been the thing. And so the idea is that if the man is the leader of the family and he's Muslim, then he will influence the rest of the family, and not vice versa. So if the woman is the Muslim and her husband is not a Muslim, he's the leader and he's the authority, so he's more likely to influence her. I don't know if the scholars have said that exactly, but I think that's quite obvious, you know, for anyone that just observing thousands of years of how humans are. Abdullah says, when you get wired a certain way, it can be hard to change, no doubt about that. Need to make the conscious effort to do so and surround yourself with the right people. No doubt about that, of course. Sometimes it's about changing your environment. That can help in extreme cases. And sometimes it's about just working on yourself and in a steady way, and being connected to the Quran, being connected to, even honestly, like going through a series from some scholar over a long period of time. It can change you, you know, it can change you. And just having that drip feed of like concrete Islamic knowledge, not just reminders, but some knowledge, I find that really transforms me, and it makes me aim higher actually in terms of my character. So there are different ways to change yourself, whether it's through environment, whether it's through companionship or who you spend time with, or it can also be just you working on yourself. But I think honestly, friends and family and who you spend time with is a huge factor, maybe the biggest factor in how you are. So Amina retracted her message. No worries. Muhammad ad-Din, Mind Heist is a great podcast. Jazakallah khairan. May Allah make it better and put barakah in it. Sulaiman Lati, fully translated now. I'm guessing that's about Tafsir Sa'di. So that's great, because that's a good kind of simple tafsir, simpler than Ibn Kathir, which is very long and goes into a lot of detail, which is not always suitable for the average person. I hope this book can make us aware of things we may not even be aware of within ourselves, inshallah. Yeah, inshallah, that's kind of the goal. Muhammad ad-Din Tafsir Sa'di has been translated fully. Okay, great, alhamdulillah. You guys should definitely get that. Start with juz 30th juz, and then see from there, because I believe it's split into different ajza. Each juz has a book. I'm interested in knowing about masculinity according to our deen, not to other ideas. Well, yeah, exactly. That's where you would want to start from, definitely, and that's where this book starts from. That's why I said at the beginning is that that is where the foundation is. That you must start from there, because then anything else must be judged according to that, right? So you find out what Quran and what the Prophet ﷺ and what the other prophets were like in terms of being men, not being prophets or anything like, but being men with their family, etc. You find out what they were like and what those general messages are for Muslim men, and then any other information which might be useful, you must judge it, opposite that or according to that, right? So that's what I'm doing. In fact, like I've done a ton of work on the book already, and I've not yet put anything from outside Quran Sunnah scholars in it yet, right? Even though I've read 3-4 books maybe about masculinity from non-Muslims. One of them I love, one of them was all right, and the others I didn't really like. So yeah, no doubt the way I think may be influenced partially by one of those books I really liked, but then again, it's always about judging it according to the Quran and Sunnah and stuff. So Suleiman Lati, I was thinking today, in today's society, we expect manhood to occur once they leave high school. And what are those key traits of Muslim men you found? And when do we become men in reality? Well, we did a podcast on, we talked about this on the podcast, and we talked about like how adulthood is being delayed. So it's like when you're 18, you're an adult, but then it's like, no, then you go uni. And when you're at uni, you're not working, so you're still dependent. And so, yeah, you might be living on your own, you may not be living on your own, but you're still not a man fully. So then it's like, okay, now delay being a man till you're 21. So, okay, now 21, you get a job. Okay, now you like start becoming a man, and that's just way too late. Personally, if I think of like my kids or anything, I would say I'm looking for that kind of maturity by age 16, perhaps, being realistic. I think 16, 17, it's possible. Definitely start the journey of becoming more responsible and mature at the age, 15, 16. Definitely possible, depending how you're raised. I think it makes a big difference what the expectations are of you, because the expectations now are very low. It's like, yeah, just play about until you're 21. That's not going to make people mature quickly, is it? I agree 100%. I wish there was a book out there. Yeah, inshallah, I'll be making that book. Are you planning to address women's roles in the family? I.e., how men should interact with female family members, for instance. Yeah, so the second section of the 3 sections is about family, how a man should be in his family. And so what it does, it tells men how to be with their wives and their children, but it will not tell women how to be with their husbands, because I just feel that's another speciality, another focus, and I just didn't. That's not what the book is about, right? So if you ask me, okay, but what about women, and what about if a man does this, what should the woman be like? I have not researched what women should be like. Obviously, I get a good idea when I'm reading, but you've got to stay in your lane, kind of thing. And I think that's a book that needs to be written as well, right? So what a woman should be like according to Islamic principles. Yeah. So guys, if you want to kind of pre-order the book, or you want to contribute to the project, because it does require money, of course, then go to the link that I've put in there. Let me just put it again. Launchgood.com/better men. Let's build better men for better families and for a better ummah. Okay, back to the questions. There is a shortage of English written Muslim books by Muslims. I've read on LaunchGood, and it's looking interesting. Okay, great. Yeah, there is definitely a shortage. Like I said, Sheikh Mikhail Smith has put out what seems to be a good book. I've got it, but I've not read it yet. I've read 1 chapter. And Musa Ferber is doing a lot of translations, and he's a native English speaker. So I'm guessing those are good translations of some of the older, more classical books. So those kind of are on my radar. But yeah, there is a lack. There is a lack. But I think it's not just about putting a book out there. It's about promoting it, being good at promoting it, and being good at turning it into other formats that maybe are more consumed in today's day and age. I think the foundation is to write a book, because that requires you doing a lot of hard work and research. And then it's about, okay, the book is out there, people can buy it, but I'm going to put it into these other formats as well. I think that's important. So 327M Productions. Yes, book needs to be there as it organizes the various ideas out there in sequence. Yes, exactly. In sequence. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. This is LMY or IMY. Assalamu alaikum. We have no concept of ulu al-himma. Going through, ulu al-himma is like high aspirations, high standards, high goals. Going through the modern system leads you to a self-serving lifestyle. We need Islam to shape our perspectives earlier, even our careers. Yeah, I agree. I think there was a comment on Awais. Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for joining me. Jazakallah khairan, Awais. May Allah accept your tarawih, his tarawih time over there, or maybe you finished. Okay. Yeah. So IMY. Yeah. So the we need Islam to shape our perspectives, definitely. And there's so many areas you can imagine that books could be written on this in a modern, engaging way, right? There are plenty of lectures out there, and if you study like Islamic sciences, I think you do gain an idea of how your worldview should be. So that's great. As well, though, we should have books where it's like, you know, a 200-page book, 200-page book, whatever, which is like, okay, how to overcome sadness from a Muslim perspective, how to think positively from a Muslim perspective, how to be a leader from a Muslim perspective, you know, business from a Muslim perspective. All of this is like Islam has so much to offer. So that needs to be put out there. And you know, this book, I was considering only for a small time that the book should actually be for everyone, not just Muslims, right? It should be a book to teach men how to be men. It will come from the Quran and Sunnah, but you know, non-Muslim men can definitely benefit from it. So maybe once this book is out, maybe I can twist it a little bit on the marketing side so that it's attractive to them as well. Maybe it would be good form of dawah. Who knows? Could be interesting kind of angle for dawah. Junaid, Waste Junaid said, loved that you're writing it all entirely based on Quran and Sunnah in today's time when everyone's coming up with their own opinions. May Allah put great barakah in it. Du'as with you, bro. Jazakallah khairan, Awais. Yeah. I mean, have to do it from Quran and Sunnah. That's where that's where honestly Allah creates us, isn't it? So Allah knows how we should be with ourselves, with our families, with the ummah, and He created men and women, and He said that walaysa dhakaru kal untha. So we are different, and we need to kind of optimize for that. You know, like if you're 20 years old, you're not going to live life like you're 70. You know, and if you're 60, you're not going to try and live life like you're 25, right? So just how if you're a man, you're not going to try and live your life like you're a woman, and vice versa. So we need to kind of optimize for who we really are. Suleiman Lati says, this is good, alhamdulillah, because there are a few books but none in English. Yes. What traits, qualities does a Muslim girl look for in a guy? I think there are certain general things. By the way, Ahmed, yeah, this book is going to help you get married, inshallah, because if you adopt the traits that are outlined in this book, it will make you very attractive, you know, just to be honest. There are certain things that just women in general, not just Muslim women, but women in general will be attracted to certain things in a man, right? And you'll learn that in the book, the different traits. It's not a book, Yanni, designed for marriage, but just becoming a developed man, and becoming a real man, and becoming mature, and becoming responsible. That is going to make you attractive. It's going to, you know, to good women, maybe certain women will be unattracted to that, but if that's even a word. But for a good woman, that is what they're looking for. Is there any book out there on this topic by any scholar? So that was 327M Productions. So No, there isn't a book like this that I'm aware of, even in Arabic. There is one book which I'm yet to read. I need to read that definitely, obviously, before I put this book out. There's a book called Kitab al-Futuwa, but that Futuwa is not so much masculinity or how to be a man. It's more chivalry. And when I read that book, it was mostly about good character, and it was things that even really it was very difficult for me to say that it's those traits are specific to men, right? So for that reason, I took some quotes out of that book. But as for the actual teachings of the book, I didn't find it to be too specific to men, right? Any other books that I found? No, I found a few lectures on YouTube, a few. And those lectures, some of them are very good, but they will cover like one trait of a man in 1 hour or two traits of a man in 1 hour. And so this book is going to cover like, I don't know, 15, 20 different traits in a book, right? So, and that's not because I'm amazing. It's just because I've focused on this topic, and I think other people have not chosen to focus on the topic. Jazakallah khairan for doing this. Liked when you said that I'm doing this because this book needs to be written. Yes, Abdullah, thanks for that. And, you know, inshallah, it'll be something that survives beyond me. That's the point here. I think when some of the great scholars of the past, they were doing their work, they literally had no interest in who was going to read it, when it was going to be read, how many copies were going to be sold or printed. They just knew it needed to be done, and they did it for the sake of Allah. I'm not saying I'm exactly like that, but I'm trying here to adopt this concept of it just needs to be written, needs to be put out there. Does that mean I'm not going to put a heavy work into promoting it? No, it doesn't mean that. I'm going to put heavy work into promoting it because it needs, you know, it's beneficial. But yeah. Cherry Blossom, I think it's extremely helpful to go through the seerah of Abu Bakr and Umar ibn Khattab because there is a lot of material to study and take to take them as role models to copy. Yeah, and there's a lack of modern role models. So yeah, definitely, I agree there. It's funny because they're both men, Abu Bakr and Umar, but they're different models of men, and that just shows that there is not one exact model of a man. There is, you know, the way I understand masculinity and femininity is that they are traits, right? And it means that it just because you're born a male, it doesn't mean you're going to have like all the traits of a man. You know, these are things you're going to develop. Some things will come very naturally to you. Some things will be taught to you by your culture, by your upbringing. But still then, there is proportions to it. There's a sliding scale. So you might have 80% traits of a man, and 20% you're going to have femininity, right? You're going to have traits of femininity. 20%, 10%, that's normal for a man to have some feminine traits. But the thing that makes him a man, a real man, is that 80, 70, 90% of his traits are those masculine traits. And then vice versa for a woman. You see women, you see some of the Sahabiyat, they had certain masculine traits, right? They were still mostly feminine, but they had certain masculine traits, right? So that's how I see that. And so, yeah, so Sayyidina Omar, he was a specific model of masculinity, and he had his way, right? He had his kind of fiery way, very assertive way. But what you'll find as well, he was very much in control, and he had his times when basically he wasn't that Hollywood playboy model of masculinity, even though he was aggressive sometimes and bold and assertive. He still had times when he was very calm and collected, and he controlled himself, and he was gentle, and he was thoughtful, and he was in touch with emotions. So the non-Muslims have not really shown us a model of this kind of person, like Omar and like the Prophet ﷺ, etc. Hello, Caro says, I have a question. My father said I couldn't go outside today because there will be a loud sound heard today, according to the Quran. I'm very confused. Can you help me understand? I don't think I can help you understand. There'll be a loud sound. Wow. Not sure. Allah protect us, Caro. 327M Production says, yeah, I agree. Any other ideas for non-Muslim will be plus and great to make a book more valuable, but it should not violate any Islamic ideas. Yeah. Ahmed Khan, you're my role model. Yani, a'udhu billah, you know, we have people better than me. It's not about that. Maybe I'm amazing, but the point is you don't know. You don't know if I'm amazing or not, because you just see certain things on the videos, where obviously in the video I'm just trying to put out good stuff. I'm not trying to put out bad stuff in the videos. So I think ideal role models are people you know a lot about. You know how they lived in their private life, in their public life, if possible. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ is a great role model. He had Abu Huraira with him a lot. He had Aisha with him from a young age, taking note of how he was in private, in public, and this and that. So that's why he's a good role model. And that's why one of the reasons that people say that he married Aisha when she was young is because then she went on to narrate so many hadith about how he was in his home, or in private, or whatever. So I don't know if I would be a good role model, because you just don't know me that much. You know what I mean? But inshallah, you get some kind of inspiration from what I do. And inshallah, that would be good. Alhamdulillah. This book will make me attractive. I'm sold. Inshallah, yes. Muhsin, can you provide links to YouTube videos out there on masculine traits? Maybe you should share your experiences in your book. So far, the way it's written is very third personish. It's not talking about me at all. I don't know, that's just the style I prefer, because basically I'm not coming at it from a perspective of I'm an expert and I'm an amazing man and I'm so masculine. That's not the point. This is me discovering what I want to know, right? And for that reason, I didn't write it from my perspective, like, oh, I thought this and I say this, and it's just Allah said this, and tell a story, and it's very third personish. So yeah, but then the thing is, that's the book. But then afterwards, on podcasts or on videos, then maybe I would share experiences and stuff like that. You get what I mean? So yeah. So yeah, everyone, if you can just go to that link there, you can contribute, you can pre-order your copy. Good question, Sulaiman Lati. So he says, how important is money to manhood, as I see them being tied together often? Interesting. I think money should not be too much tied too much to manhood, masculinity, being a real man. I think what should be tied to manhood is juhd, effort, striving, hard work ethic, enjoying challenges to an extent. And if you have those kind of traits, then you will make money, inshallah, as long as Allah has written it for you. The reason we can't say money is like linked to masculinity is because the Prophet ﷺ was, generally poor. There are many great companions who are poor. Were they not men? No, they were men. Like, they're still providing as much as they can, as much as Allah provided for them. They gave to their families. They weren't stingy. And many of the prophets lived simple lives. And I think Muslims today in 2020 should aspire to live simple lives. So, it's a masculine trait to be generous with your family, yes. But being generous doesn't mean buying, a Rolex for your wife. It means it just depends what you've got, what you have coming in. So is it masculine to provide? Yes. How do you provide? Well, you work hard. You work hard, and then you have tawakkul on Allah, and then you see if Allah gives you or not. If you work hard and you have tawakkul on Allah, and then you're still poor, well, then you're still a man. You're a man. Yeah, Abdullah, you've brought my attention to the campaign. Let's see how we were, because last time I checked, it was on 120. It's on 490. Alhamdulillah. So the goal originally was 500. That was the original goal, and we've hit that in about an hour. Alhamdulillah. So jazakumullahu khairan. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Alhamdulillah. Really appreciate that, everyone. And you can contribute, like I said on the page itself, you can contribute by giving, of course. And when you give, you're also going to get a book, and you have other ways you can contribute. And then you also have sadaqah, like that you're helping me put the book together, which will help benefit people, inshallah. And then you can also help with dua. You can help with sharing the link. So if you could just grab that link that's in the chat there or in the description, and share it with people, like go to WhatsApp and just look through your contacts and just say, okay, they might find this interesting. They might find this interesting. Yo, check it out. I thought that you might find this interesting. I saw this guy's live stream. He seems like he's going to do a good job with it. Check it out. Yeah, that would be really good if you could share it. If you're not giving, or if you even give, then please share it and stuff like that. And maybe in the last 10 days, come back and give another little bit. That would be great. I really appreciate this because at the beginning, it's very important to get momentum with the campaign. So if you can reach the target in the first day or the first few hours, that is amazing. That's perfect. And then between now and the end of Ramadan, maybe we can reach maybe £2,000. That would be really a really good start for the project and for the book. So if you want to come back in the 27th of Ramadan, 25th Ramadan, whatever, and give another bit, then that would be great as well. That would be really great as well. The most effective times to give would be today, right now, because it gives that momentum. It shows LaunchGood that, wow, this one got funded in just the first few hours. So that comes up on their radar. The other best time to contribute would be when you get the most ajr, inshallah, which would be maybe Laylatul Qadr, whenever that is, 23rd, 21st, the odd nights. Suleiman says, what do you mean the 10% on the LaunchGood for the book? I don't remember what I said about 10%, but what I was saying is, alhamdulillah, we're just £10 away from reaching the target. Alhamdulillah, we got 17 supporters already. Yeah, so we're £10 away from the initial target. Really and truly, the target is around £2,000, inshallah. But as much as people are interested in this book, then they can order as many copies as they like. Of course, right? Ahmed Khan, what qualities, traits should I look for in a girl? How should I know she is the right wife for me? I think there are some foundational things, which is obviously fear of Allah, being interested in Islam, understanding that worshipping Allah is kind of the main purpose of her life. Those things are quite obvious, of course. But then a lot of it, I think, is about values, right? And we talk about this on the podcast quite a bit. Values. What does values mean? It's how you see the world, what you find important, what you find unimportant. So I'll give you an example. In some families, most Muslim families, alhamdulillah, especially for the women, for the girls, family is very important. So visiting her parents, visiting her siblings, that will be very important for her after she gets married. Now, you might not share that same value. So whenever she wants to visit her family, you'll be like, oh, really? Oh, I have to take you, right? So that's conflicting values. You want to have as many values in common as possible. And I think that's why in the past, basically, amongst more communities where everyone has the same culture, that's why marriages kind of lasted, because everyone had the same expectations and the same values, right? It's like, you are from my same village as me, or the same city as me. So we have the same culture, we have the same expectations in a marriage, and so we're going to get on okay, right? And then it's just about the little details of chemistry and stuff like that, which I feel is not too important. But you need to get clear what your values are. You need to be honest with yourself. How am I? What do I find important? What are my expectations in marriage? How should I be? And how should a man be in a marriage? And how should a woman be in a marriage? And you should be honest with that, with a girl, with the potential girl, and communicate that to her in a smart but semi-direct way. Okay. Which country do you live in? I'm in the UAE right now. Thank you, everyone, so much for the contributions to the campaign and for your attention right now. We've been going here for nearly an hour. I think I'll stop about 60 minutes after an hour. So keep any questions or comments coming in on the topic. I think masculinity varies with culture and times. So yes, the way a man is expected to be, it does change over time and amongst cultures. For example, maybe in the UK, if a man splits the bill with his wife when they eat out, that might be normal, right? In whatever, Algeria, where I'm from, that would just be a complete joke, and the woman would probably ask for a divorce, right? So that kind of those details are going to be they're going to change. But I think what you'll find is throughout time and place, there are standard things that have always not standard, constant things, constant traits that have always been admired in men, and things that have been admired in women constantly. Those things have not changed. And now on top of that, you bring the Quran and Sunnah, and you'll see as well that there are certain things that if we're going to be good Muslims, then we need to follow those things, and that will means it won't always change. Those things, they won't always change in time and place. But certain details, of course, they will change in time and place. What kind of expectation should I set? I'm lost myself. Well, find yourself, inshallah. You know, find yourself. That would be the first place to go. You know, work on yourself. Try and develop your character. Gain some knowledge of Allah's names and attributes. Read the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, or listen to it if you like. You know, experience things in life. You know, work hard. Get a job. These kind of things. I really feel like experiences help you learn about yourself. Traveling, you know, obviously not now probably, but traveling and working, those things really help you learn about yourself. The earlier you can do that, a lot of those two things, the earlier you're going to mature and develop and learn about who you are. And you know, really keeping a journal and stuff like that is useful as well. Like, oh, I noticed that I had this thought today, or I noticed that I did that, or I noticed I made that decision. I just write these things down so they kind of stick a little bit in your head. So Suleiman Latti says, £45, generous leader, you'll get 2 copies of the book. It says 10% off. Yeah, so what I mean by that is 1 copy of the book is £25 on the campaign, £25. So double that should be £50. But if you buy 2 in one go, I'll take 10% off. That's what the 10% off is. Does a man have to have a degree? I'm thinking to apply for uni, but thinking it's too late. I'm 24. I wouldn't say you're too late. I think you need to have a direction. That's what a man needs to have, is a direction, some kind of plan, and a skill, some kind of skill. That skill could be from an engineering degree. That's a skill. It could also be from being a plumber, you know, being excellent at sales or at customer service. And these things don't come from a degree, you know. The engineering comes from a degree. Plumbing doesn't come from a degree. So you need to have a skill, you need to have work ethic, and you need to have a direction. You need to have a direction. The Prophet ﷺ, interestingly, when he got wahi, when he got revelation for the first time, what happened? He was shaken up. He was shaken up. What did he do? He went to his wife Khadija. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew what he needed. He was shaken, but he was still there in his mind. He hadn't completely just broken down. He knew, I need to go to Khadija. I need to go to my wife. When he went to his wife, he said, cover me up. He knew what he wanted. So although he was shaken, he was emotionally vulnerable in front of his wife, he still knew what he needed to get calmed down. I need to go to my wife, and I need her to cover me up, right? So you see that emotional vulnerability, but also being fully there in the mind, and knowing what you want, having direction. That's a little clip from the book. So yeah, Ahmed Khan, you know, you just need a plan, I guess, bro. You need a plan. And sometimes plans come not from sitting and thinking about it. It comes from getting a job. And when you're in the job, you're going to learn what you hate and what you love. And yeah, that's going to make a big difference for you. Maybe you already have a job. Maybe get another job. Maybe look into some part-time studies. And that study could be getting some very practical skill. Doesn't have to be like a degree kind of studies. Families value a degree a lot. Yeah, Ahmed, I guess it depends like where you're from and what kind of girl that you expect that you're going to propose to. For example, I believe amongst religious people, it depends how you define religious, of course, but amongst religious families, I think they would, a degree is nice, maybe, but they would really appreciate and value work ethic, the fact you have a plan, the fact that you have some kind of work experience, or this kind of thing is really what they value a lot more than a degree. I don't know if my father-in-law knew if I had a degree. I think, yeah, he did know, but he didn't ask about it or anything. So it depends family to family. But definitely don't get a degree just to get married. No way. No way. Get a degree if it makes sense for your plan in life. Plan in life. Abdullah, did the campaign start trending? Let's see. Not sure how I would see that. It might take a while for it to, get into their system or whatever. I'm not sure, wallah. £7 left to hit that goal. Jazakumullahu khairan. Jazakumullahu khairan. Really good. I went to a family to propose to a girl. They declined because I did not have a degree. Well, I mean, yeah, that might happen, but it's not a reason to do a degree. I think that a lot of the time there are things that trump a degree, So if you don't have a degree, but you've got a plan, you've got a job, you're pretty confident, you can provide. It's just the way you talk, that you know what you're doing. Then I think that often will trump a degree. But yeah, there are families and then there are other families. So if you prayed istikhara and it didn't go ahead, then that was best anyway. No worries on that one. My plan is to buy a couple of houses and chill. Well, interesting. I mean, may Allah give you success, Yani. I thought you were going to say buy a couple of copies of the book, actually. So that would be great, because that's very cheap compared to a couple of houses. And, just on the topic of, being a real man, I think the way a real man would be is I want to buy a couple of houses and then work fully for the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I don't need to work money. Now I just work for Allah. Isn't that ideal? And that's the job of the messengers, That's what they did. And we all might say, that was my dream job, just work for Allah. Don't think of money. So yeah, maybe that's a good thing to aim for. I know I would aim for that. I know you're probably just joking, by the way, Ibrahim. So, but I just thought, made me think of that. Okay, probably stop the stream in about 2 minutes, inshallah. Again, the link, I just paste the link there. If you want to check out the campaign, you want to contribute. Like I said, we're just below the original goal. Alhamdulillah, really appreciate that. May Allah reward everybody who gave and who shared the link and who made dua for the success of the campaign. And now the plan is to kind of go take it further, right? So yeah, probably inshallah we can reach 1,000, 2,000 pounds, something like that by the end of Ramadan. That would be great. So I'll be putting out more videos, podcasts about the topic, inshallah, while the campaign is going on, so you can kind of gain more insights there. Abdullah, when do you think you'll release the actual book? Good question. See, I don't want to commit to anything because I know these kind of projects, it's the first time I'm writing a book, so who knows exactly. But I think what's realistic is in the next 6 months, it should be done, inshallah. Yasmin, I'm 24 as well. I'm a girl, don't have a degree. It does make a big difference. So now people want their daughter-in-laws to have degrees too. Interesting. Because that's not even to do with providing. So I don't know what that's about, but hey. Well, you didn't miss the stream. You got like 45 seconds left. Bravery and courage, that's masculinity. Well, bravery and courage. I wouldn't say bravery, I would say courage. There's a slight difference between the two. But I think there's more to it. There's more to it than that. There's more to it than that, definitely. yeah, so we'll wrap it up here. Jazakallah khair for joining me. So please share that link everywhere you can. Launchgood.com/better men. Let's build better men with this book, inshallah, which will build better families and a better ummah, inshallah. Please watch, please contribute if you can, make dua for the success of the project, and to make me sincere, and to make me make this book the best book possible, and share the link around to anybody. Just go to your WhatsApp and just say, yeah, they might like this, they might like it, they might like it, and just send it off. Please send it to 3 people each. That would be really, really good. The 9 people here on the stream, 9 times 3, that's 27 people that will hear about the campaign because of you guys, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. May Allah bless you. May Allah accept all of your ibadah in Ramadan. Thank you again so much. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Will the stream be available? It will be available to watch later, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.